That's right. Well, 3 years ago, residents in Ridgecrest and surrounding communities were preparing to celebrate their 4th of July holiday. Now, unfortunately, that morning brought a different set of explosions in the form of a 6.4 magnitude 4 shock followed by a 7.1 earthquake. The city of Ridgecrest is no stranger to earthquakes.
So Ridgecrest itself as a fault area is in a very interesting geological and geographical area.
This desert community, located 100 miles east of Bakersfield, was known for being a quiet urban oasis, focused primarily on research and development coming out of the China Lake Naval Base. But now it's known for another reason.
All units, we are on citywide earthquake.
Where that was actually confirmed as a 7.1, the 6.4 is a 4 shock.
This brick just lining the sidewalk.
There's nothing more frightening than seeing that, having that big one that scares you, and then having something bigger.
For weeks following those devastating quakes, the community worked to rebuild. The repairs for the Naval Air Weapons Station at China Lake topping $3 billion. But in years that follow, the greatest lasting impacts weren't physical.
The psychological aspect of it was when we had the 6.4. The 6.4 hit at 10 o'clock in the morning on July 4th. We began the recovery as a community that day. When July 5th began, this town had recovered 80% of what had happened. Anything that was permanently damaged in terms of mobile homes or brick walls or things like that weren't. But stores had cleaned their shelves, had restocked their floors, had prepared to open like a business day. And then comes 7 p.m. on July 5th and the 7.1. And what it did is it placed in every citizen's mind the idea that there can always be a bigger one.
Located just 30 miles east of Ridgecrest lies the community of Trona. This small community suffered damages that left it changed forever.
We're actually from a big city, so when we moved out here, it was very quiet. You know, we enjoyed it, but after the earthquake, it just made it more worse for us to live comfortably. And it's kind of hard to be in your comfort zone and to, put your valuables back up if you don't know if something's going to hit again.
The Hernandez family moved to Trona just a few months before the earthquakes.
Oh, so that was here?
Yeah.
That was a fireplace. We're still painting and cracks along the ceiling.
While they hadn't lived there long before the quakes, they can tell that things still aren't the same.
That's something that changed the whole town. I did hear that people left like to Texas or wherever else where they had to go because of either the damages or they just didn't want to stay because of what happened. We had a Family Dollar, and that was really our only place to go shop for a few necessities or what we need in town instead of having to drive like 25 miles down. That did get closed and it never got open.
A town rich in minerals, with a mining plant that supported the little community since the 1860s.
When we were growing up, it was a really nice place to live. It was a small community, but we had things to do. And
now the city of Trona may be small with a population of less than 2,000, but the people who do live here have a love for their community that's kept them going through the years, through the earthquakes, and through their recovery.
People have to realize that the people are still here, and it's not the building that is the important thing, it's the relationships.
The local high school, a landmark that had educated Trona residents for decades, red tagged and forced to close. The current students in district combining with the local elementary school.
I graduated from that high school in 1976. It's difficult. I think the hardest part is knowing that eventually the gymnasium will be torn down, and that's like one of the landmarks of the community. I think that's probably one of the most difficult aspects of the high school being torn down. It's hard. It's very difficult to see that part of your life missing.
When I moved out here, I didn't know there was so much people out here until the earthquake and everyone came out to help each other. And I was surprised. I said, wow, this little town has a lot of people here.
Soon the town of Trona will move forward with plans to build a new high school. The residents say they've seen the increased attention on their town since the earthquake and hope it will bring attention to the gems hidden within this small community. something Ridgecrest leaders say has been a hidden blessing since the earthquakes.
It has provided an incredible shot of revitalization into these communities.
In China Lake, a new runway will soon be constructed and will allow the base to welcome in the latest models of jets, and projects for the base bringing in over 1,500 construction jobs to the community.
A great example is our local cinemas. Ridgecrest Cinemas was the most symbolic of damage within Ridgecrest. That was the roof collapse at the movie theater. But when you walk into that place and you see the amount of work and construction and revitalization that was brought to it, that it's almost kind of like the Phoenix. We rose from the ashes of what this natural disaster was in such an incredible way, and there's so much momentum going positively for this community, especially when we look at what's being rebuilt on the base that's going to help this community advance for the next decade.
Now, thousands of hours have been spent researching the impact those earthquakes had on our fault lines and the Earth's crust. In fact, data collected from those quakes was even used by NASA scientists to explore seismic activity on other planets. If you'd like to see how that research is progressing, you can head to our website, turnto23.com.